Hello, everybody. I am Ted Jenkins, and welcome to the Nerdly Gentleman podcast. With me is George the Nerd. Say hi.
Hi.
And how would you like us to refer to you, actually?
Nice slurl of your language, sir.
No, I'm so sorry. How would you like us to refer to you, our new guest?
Oh, me. You're talking to me.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
can call me. You can just call me Chad. I'm part of a channel called Take It or Leave It Reviews, and yeah. You go with Chad. It's easy.
All right, Chad. All right, and
I
your
gotta look
links
this
will
up.
both be in the description below and for the video. So, a little. I thought we would talk a little bit about the current state of movies in general, just a little bit of what's happening right now in movies, and talk. I wanted to actually talk a little bit about They Look Like People, since you did a review on that, Chad,
Yeah.
recently. Um, why don't we just talk a little bit about the current state of superhero movies? Do you guys think so? Looking back on it, Chad, have you seen X-Men?
Yes. Yeah. I
Okay,
saw it
so
a couple days ago.
looking back on it now, out of that, Civil War, and Batman v Superman, which would you say was your favorite?
Ooh, I think Civil War was my favorite. Although
Hmm.
Batman vs Superman, with all its flaws, and it's got a lot of them, was the most. It's the one that's the most memorable. Even though I don't think it's as good of a film.
It's interesting that I've always tried to convey this to people whenever they ask me, which one's better, Marvel or DC. I try to always say they're very very different, and they're
Yep.
almost not comparable. You can't really say this is better or this is worse, because they show different strengths. And to me, I feel like Marvel always had more um, relatable characters. It
Hmm.
did its character building a little bit better, I thought, than DC did. But DC always reminded me of like Greek mythology, where it was
Absolutely.
huge titanous characters. Like, okay, as much as anyone would want to argue that Batman's still a normal person, he can be hurt and everything, everyone would have to admit he's a little bit superhuman, just a little, because
Yeah.
of how he can survive. I mean,
Either
he's if
superhuman or incredibly lucky.
yeah, well, he essentially has all the strength of Captain America, if you think about it. Like,
Even when
he's
he's
as
not in the Mobius
durable
chair,
as.
he's in the Mobius chair.
Yeah, yeah. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I think there's I don't necessarily know. I think the only reason that people are trying to compare Civil War to Batman v Superman is because of the close release window of the two, but also just that they think DC. I don't think DC should try to be like the opponent to Marvel, because I think if they do that, they're gonna lose really easily, because they're not Marvel, And as much as people would want to think of them as the opponent, I think it's much better if they just try to do whatever it is that they want to do, regardless of Marvel. If they try to follow Marvel's formula, they're never going to get anywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I think that they should. I think it's like in sports where like you watch other teams film. You see, well, what did they do right? What did they do wrong? I think it's smart to look at it, observe it, think about could we take some of the things that they do well and apply it to us?
Yeah.
Yes to some things,
I
no to
think
some
I think
things.
Suicide Squad is a good example of that, because that has a very. It reminds me of Guardians of the Galaxy in many ways, just because of the humor. But I feel like they're going to make it their own. It looks like its own thing at the same time.
Right. I think at the end of the day, you got to make it your own. But there's nothing wrong with just doing some observing and looking and taking a few things, because obviously Marvel's doing something right. So, but there's nothing wrong with taking a few things. But at the same time, don't try to be Marvel.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely agree with that. So what other are there any other superhero movies coming out this year, except for Doctor Strange is another one. Suicide Squad also, and is that it? Is that it for the rest of the year? I think
I
I
I
don't
think so.
I don't
I
think there's
think that
anything.
sounds right to me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That
yeah.
sounds
Because
like to
then
me too.
yeah,
yeah.
the only other movie that kind of is up there in terms of grandiose action and stuff is um, oh, was it Rogue One?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
That's the only
yeah,
one that that's obviously a comic book film, or I guess Star
Well,
Wars.
there is Star Wars comic books.
That's true. That's true.
yes, yes.
Absolutely.
something. Okay, so I'm not sure if you guys
Wait a
heard
minute,
this
give me a
news.
second.
Heard this news? Oh, okay.
Give me a second.
Um,
I want to fight for DC because you two have been tackling it for the last few sentences.
Oh, hey,
no.
don't
It's
don't. Hey,
no.
man, I love myself
Yeah.
DC as well. So don't think
Batman's
Yeah,
amazing.
I know.
No one's
Can I
arguing
just
that. No one's arguing that at
can
I'm
I
all.
a
just say something?
non-discriminatory
I'm not
comic
mad.
book fan.
I'm not mad.
Okay.
Not mad. But I feel like in the comic books, the DC people are kind of more relatable. Like you'd have to have knowledge of them, and DC doing Batman vs Superman with little to no knowledge besides like one film, which was Man of Steel. It's pointless. Like they don't know who this character is, or you would assume they don't, but everybody knows who Batman is. But not like the info, like the very in depth info.
So are
And
you saying that DC does give that deep info, and Marvel doesn't?
yeah, in the comics. In the comics.
So you're speaking like from the source material.
Strictly, is it strictly?
Yeah,
Because
from
I
the
was
source
talking
material that they
more
write.
about films with some in some
Yeah, I
of the
know,
comic books
but
in mind.
I've got to say one other thing.
Okay.
Where DC fails to make movies, they excel in their cartoons and
That's
TV
true.
shows.
Because
Yeah.
if you notice, you don't see any Marvel animated stuff doing half as well as DC's. And I will say also,
Killing Joke. I remember
will
now. There's
say-
another hero.
That's true. Oh yeah, Killing Joke, the animated movie's coming out this year. I forgot.
Oh right,
Um,
yeah.
I'm actually really excited to see that because I think that's going. I'm hoping that'll be really good. 'Cause plus, it has Mark Hamill as Joker and Kevin Conroy as Batman again. What else was there? There was something else I was going to say.
I just want to agree with you, Teddy, about the mythological element that you mentioned about DC. I think that was one reason why, for me, walking out of Civil War, I was like, this is a very good film. Like this is the
Yes.
writing's great.
It's
An
amazing film, definitely.
absolutely. I mean, you took 6 comic book characters and you somehow cohesively came up with a story that smoothly put them together in the same world for less than a 2.5 hour film. I mean, that's very, very difficult, and I think they did it very, very successfully. But at the same time, I walked out going, man, didn't make quite the impact that even though I think it's a great film, it didn't make the impact that Batman vs Superman made on me. And I thought about it, and I was like, there is just an epicness to Batman vs
Yeah.
Superman that I don't know if I've ever quite seen, maybe except for Man of Steel. I don't know if I've ever seen something that's quite that epic. That just I came out and I was like, whoa. And there's flaws with the film, and there's flaws with every film, but there's definitely some eye-opening. There's certain things that are clear, I think, that are flaws. But at the same time, I walked out going, man, I have not seen anything quite like this before in a comic book movie.
Yeah, well, I think that DC does a really good job with scaling, of showing you how important an event is and making you really feel as though this is a big thing. And here's the thing: the fight at in the airport in Civil War is, let's be honest, probably, in my opinion, the best comic book fight ever.
It's fantastic
because
On film.
It was on film. On film. I'm not gonna go into all, because if I go into comic books, I could pull anything out, and then could argue for years about whether or not that was the perfect comic book fight or not. But
Endgame.
one of the big problems I had with Batman v Superman is I did not like the fight towards the end. It was not that it wasn't a good fight, but two things I didn't like about it. I didn't like how long it was. It was very short. It was like 10 minutes. Max?
Okay, so you said
hang on,
you don't like how long
hang on.
it
I just want to
was.
give my other point. And the other,
This is the Doomsday fight, by the way.
no, the fight between Batman and Superman.
Batman and Superman. Gotcha.
Because I think that was really what everybody was
Right.
hoping for.
Gotcha.
And the other thing was that the fight either was Superman is wailing on Batman, or Batman hits him with kryptonite and now he's wailing on Superman. And it's either one of them's totally defenseless and the other one's completely overpowering the other, or the other way around. And I wanted it to be a little bit more on an even playing field. I feel like they could have just made it say, and this would have been, people probably would have argued this, but it would have been a better film if Batman's suit was just strong enough to hurt Superman. That's it. He didn't need like the kryptonite. He could have used kryptonite towards the end, but he didn't need, for instance, it to be like, oh, if I don't have kryptonite hitting him, I'm just dead. Because essentially that's what happened with Batman. Because he got shoved through walls several times and nearly died. So, I mean, it would have been, and the reason they fight is a little bit lame too, because of Lex Luthor kidnapping his mom. But which, like, I mean, that's I didn't
Martha.
Have a crazy. Yeah, that was really weird and didn't make any sense. Have you guys seen the How It Should Have Ended video?
Oh yeah.
For Batman.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of my favorite part is at the end where Batman takes the spear and then kills Doomsday with it. Because I was thinking the whole time, why don't you have Batman do that? And here was the other thing: the
worst,
worst,
the Wonder Woman,
the worst, but the worst part, man, was that in the film, if you look when Superman's flying that towards him, Batman whips out another kryptonite gas grenade and shoots it into Doomsday's face. And I was thinking, why did you need Superman to fly the spear into him? You could have just said, okay, shoot him with the gas, then Superman and Wonder Woman just really beat him up really fast. And he's that's it. It's over.
I have two comments to that. One, I think that there's going to be additional material that I like to think is going to explain it in the 3-hour Ultimate Rated R edition. I hope, fingers crossed. The other, maybe there won't be. I don't know, but I hope so. Yeah. The other thing is that and this is my problem with Snyder at the same time, I kind of appreciate it that he does this. Well, the way he films, he leaves it open to the interpretation of the viewer so much, even almost to a fault. And I like to, and this is why I say this, is like, I like to think it's because Superman is sitting there going, you know what? I don't know this woman. I mean, she's kicking butt, but I just don't know her. I don't know what she can do or what she can't do, or she's invincible. And this Bat guy, he's clearly a human. So you know what? I'm going to take this on myself. This is my doing. This is a Kryptonian. This is my fault. I'm going to take this because I just don't know what they can and cannot do. We just met each other. I'd like to think that, but the problem that I've had with at times with Batman vs Superman is I just don't know. I don't know if that was Snyder's intentions at all. That's just my interpretation, you know.
Or you could say, for instance, there's a lot we don't know necessarily about the film right now, especially like how much did the studio, change and edit the movie to be more what they wanted. Like I feel like the email that's sent to Wonder Woman, I feel like that was shoehorned in by the studio.
Oh god!
Because it felt so. Is this really how it's gonna be? You know what I mean? You just get this sort of feeling. You're kind of just sitting there, and you're looking around. You're like, is this really it? Like, is this real?
Could they have chosen a worse time to put that scene in there? I mean, it's the build up to the fight, and they're like, hold on. What's Wonder Woman up to? Oh, she's checking her Gmail account. Oh man, that was
okay. That bugs me as well.
Here's the thing,
because I didn't realize what type of email it was.
Well,
why would Batman, the paranoid person that he is, who has contingency plans on top of contingency plans for the members of the Justice League, why would he rely on Gmail to send something?
Yeah. Well, okay. Two things. First, I thought it was. I heard somebody mention this. I hadn't thought about it before. That she scrolls down one line of text at a time to read so that the audience can see clearly what she's reading. But also
the logos.
If you watch the How It Should Have Ended video, you'll see that Aquaman pulls the spear out of the water instead of Lois Lane. Right. That would have been much better than the email. Like, because here's the thing, I didn't understand. And I'm just putting this out there that what if they just had the whole Justice League just show up at the end to fight Doomsday? Would that have, thinking about it, would that have really been so bad?
No.
Because I'm thinking,
because compared to what we got, I'm just thinking, I would have been fine if they didn't show the email and just said, here's the Flash, Cyborg, and an Aquaman, and they're just they just show up. Who cares why they're here? it doesn't.
That would have been great.
Yeah,
I mean, if all of a sudden, if you have like, they take down Doomsday at the end, the Flash, she's like, from what I understand, is a little bit more of the comedic, has a little bit more of the comedy side to him, slight comedic element at least. And he just turns and looks at everybody and he's like, looks at Aquaman. And he's like, who's this guy? Yeah, I don't know, just something, anything like that would have been great if they all just showed up. You're just like, I don't know, we just got this epic monster we're fighting, no questions. Let's just we know the one thing
like,
we all know is we got to take this thing down.
I mean, really, you could. I mean, at the most, all they should have said is, well, we were all just in town and just saw this was happening, and we were thinking we probably should do something about this.
Yeah, or even Flash. Flash could be halfway across the world. Doesn't matter. You can get there in like 27 seconds.
You could just show him watching the news and see it happening.
Yeah,
you don't have to be. And I think the Doomsday reveal before the movie wasn't a very good idea.
Oh, the second trailer.
It kept. Here's the thing. I didn't have a huge problem with the trailer because a lot of that stuff was leaked ahead of time. Like people were talking about how Doomsday is probably going to be in this movie and stuff like that. So that wasn't a huge deal to me because I was like, well, yeah, everybody's been speculating that Doomsday might be in it, and everybody knew they were going to have to come together at the end and fight another villain. I mean, nobody was like, oh, they're going to fight to the death and one of them's going to die, Like
right.
Nobody was thinking Superman's going to kill Batman or Batman's going to murder Superman.
Oh yeah, no, I was thinking like right back to like the Bruce Timm like Superman animated series, this Batman Superman movie. It's like they didn't really fight each other. They just had like a little squabble and that's it.
Yeah, well, the problem is you can't really show two superheroes and one of them win in a fight.
Well, it's technically Batman won that fight, but still.
Well, okay, so I actually heard Stan Lee once say this, that if you do that, then the other people will get mad and say all the reasons why he should have won. So whichever person that wins, there could always be a different situation or some other thing that you're
different elements. Like once if he had like a different version of kryptonite that gave him more power, or if he was under a blue sun or something.
Yeah,
like that.
It's like, well, no, Superman, he would have used his cold breath or his laser vision from like a mile away and instantly killed Batman.
Like Superman could fly, he could keep distance.
But for the purpose of the movie, they can't have that happen. Otherwise, they're just like, well, that's it. It's over.
I like to think of it, and for those people who are like Superman fans, who are kind of to your point about Stan Lee saying that that you're going to upset certain people. I'm like, look, guys, Superman fans, guys, 999 times out of 1,000, Superman wins. It's like that movie Miracle where the U.S. beat the Soviet Union. It just happened to happen that one time. There's no reason that should happen, but it did. It happened. So just it's okay. Know that Superman wins 999 times out of 1,000. It just this is the one outlier situation where it didn't happen.
Yeah, and here's what I've always said about Batman v Superman fights. Okay, and this is what I think a lot of people forget, that okay, if Batman's prepared and for instance, if Batman's initiating the fight, then Batman most likely will win. If Superman's initiating the fight, he's certainly going to win.
Oh yeah, put him in a ring. Put him in a ring. Superman wins every time.
Yeah, because really, Superman can murder any human being regardless of anything. Because most of the time, I don't think people get this, that Superman doesn't try to kill people.
Yes.
Like, okay, even against like Zod, I don't think it's like he was trying to murder him every time he punched him. It's that he can, like, there's a couple instances, they don't show it very often, but it's like when Superman does go just completely with all his force, hit someone, it like breaks time. I mean, it destroys everything. There's no living thing that could really stand up against that.
Can I say something?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I'm gonna go backtrack a little bit because I wanted to put this in. When you're talking about like the Justice League coming in last second, we were all fine with that. It actually reminded me of the first episode of Justice League, the Bruce Timm cartoon. It's like you had the alien invasion. Everybody just grouped together. It's like, oh, hey, who's this princess? And that's the nickname that stuck with her for a while. And they just didn't care. They worked together because they knew the world was in danger. It's like, why could it not work like that? We've all agreed on that.
Well, here's the thing, okay? If they wanted to call this movie Batman v Superman, then I feel as though a very large portion of the movie should have been Batman fighting Superman. That is a big thing that I just gotta say about this movie. That if you're gonna title it as a movie in which two superheroes fight, then the most of what the movie should be is them, at least a very large portion should be them fighting. You know,
Totally agree.
or preparing to fight at least. Which Batman, they show a lot of Batman preparing to fight Superman and stuff like that. But Superman's motivations are not created at all for him fighting Batman. You know, it's very just like he just doesn't like him. You know, it's like that's kind of the reason that he wants to fight.
No, let me throw this out there because I've thought of this as an alternative to telling the Batman vs Superman on film story.
And then I wanted to move on to a different topic than superhero movies after that.
I want to finish just one more thing.
Okay.
You guys were joking about.
Well, let Chad go first.
It's fine. Well, okay, real quick, just a thought. I want to throw this out there. What if you think, or like, what do you think about the idea that instead of putting all those Bruce Wayne scenes and stuff in the movie throughout the beginning, the middle, and just making this almost like kind of how they approached it with Winter Soldier and make Batman this horrifying thing that lurks in the night that we actually the only time we see him is like the first time we see him where he's like climbing the ceiling, and he's like truly like we see him almost in like through the eyes of Superman. We make this more of like a Superman story, and the first time that we really sit down and get to see Superman one-on-one is the fight.
That would be interesting. That would actually be really interesting if you only get to see very small bits and pieces of Batman and not just show him all the time, because the majority of this movie I think probably is Batman.
Absolutely.
I think it definitely is. But if they, for instance, if they had gone, the fight begins and then he just has all this equipment ready, I don't think anyone would have questioned that.
Yeah.
You know, I don't think anybody would have been, why would Batman have all this gear and these missiles and this kryptonite? I mean, it's
Batman.
Yeah. I mean, you don't. No one, for instance, if you have shark repellent, and people don't question that, nobody's
60s.
going to be like, well,
no one
questioned
the 60s.
Kryptonite. You know what I mean? Okay, so George,
let's be fair. Nobody questioned the Adam West Batman because it was already goofy on its own.
Yeah. Okay, George,
and
you wrap
one
it
of
up.
you were joking about like putting Superman in a ring with Batman, and like Superman would win. You have to remember, ring matches are fair fights. It's like literally, they're just fair fights. Oh, they're the same muscle like class as you. Like it's fair, and it like reminded me of this comic, Muhammad Ali versus Superman, in which Muhammad Ali won, and you were saying a human wouldn't win.
Right, but you gotta you just gotta compare the specifics of, okay, Superman can't be hurt by most everything, and Batman can't. You know, like if Batman gets shot, he's gonna die.
Yeah, I don't.
So
bulletproof.
I like to think that those are different. Those are different lores, you know, that don't really apply as much to, you know, the Zack Snyder world. I don't know.
I would agree that the comics do clash a bit with what Zack Snyder's made, because
which makes me happy why Jeff Johns is getting in this.
Yeah, that's a good point. That I think that will add a bit of, like I like the Suicide Squad a lot more. I might be more excited for Suicide Squad after seeing Batman v Superman, because that looks like it has much more color and vibrancy to it than Batman v Superman did. Not saying that it should have been like they're all wearing blue spandex or whatever, but I felt like maybe, I don't know, there were just some, like, Superman was always sad, and I don't feel like Superman should be that sad. He reminded me of Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I think that that's very comparable, because he was very mopey, you know.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's. Yeah. I wanted to move on from that. Okay, so
I'm Spider-Man.
I wanted to move on to horror movies.
Ooh, nice.
Which we haven't talked much on the podcast about horror movies, but I've recently become just enamored with horror movies for some reason. I don't know why, but
I don't either.
I've been going back and watching every big horror movie that I should have seen forever but haven't. And I've been actually like buying Blu-ray after Blu-ray of my favorite horror movies. But so I wanted to talk first about a new horror movie that you reviewed, Chad, and I haven't, but I thought I would just discuss it here. Which is They Look Like People, which is an indie film that came out of, where was it again? It was a film festival. I can't remember which one though.
Yeah, they played it at a few. I saw it at the
Yeah.
Chicago International Film Festival back in like October, and
Oh, okay.
knew nothing about it. And I literally just went in completely blind. I actually did that with It Follows, and I was blown away. So I was like, I'm going to do
Yes.
that again with this movie.
I have
And
not seen It Follows yet, but
ooh,
it's an interesting idea. For a while, I was really afraid to watch it because the idea scared me so much. Because I was thinking,
it's a
man,
good,
slow.
do yourself a favor. Go,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, see
Well,
that one.
the thing is that here a lot of people have complained about this movie, surprisingly, because when the first time I watched it, I was like, "This is one of the most terrifying movies I've ever seen." And then I see reviews for it on Netflix and stuff, and people going, "This is the worst movie ever. I did not see any jump scares. They barely show the monster. No, 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 no." And I'm thinking, it's so much scarier though if they don't do that, especially in this kind of movie, because it's so okay. I gotta say the moments when when he sees people changing and stuff like that are horrific
Oh yeah.
because they're just to give some people some idea of what this movie is. 'Cause most people probably haven't seen it. It's basically a body snatcher movie where this guy is going crazy, or at least he thinks he might be going crazy. That these, I guess they're aliens, aren't they?
Yeah, we're not.
Basically,
They leave it
'cause
up to our imagination. They say that and this is just because I know we're talking about They Look Like People or It Follows, but this is They Look Like People now that we're talking about. And
yeah,
they say that these entities, monsters, beasts, aliens, whatever they are, and
yeah,
this is what I love about the movie, they leave it up to our imagination. They say they've
yeah,
been around since Jericho, the Temple of Solomon, and
yeah,
Garatha or whatever it was. So
yeah.
who knows? I
Basically,
still
since
don't.
the dawn of, we assume close to the dawn of the creation of man, basically,
Exactly.
which is
Maybe even
really
before.
interesting. Yeah, it's really interesting how they do that, where they have this. It's an interesting idea, just that there have been these things that no one can see except like a couple people, and they've just existed and been slowly growing. And they don't quite explain also why it takes them so long to spread to everyone, especially if they are it's almost like an infection. They talk about that you get infected by them.
Teddy,
Um,
should we do a quick, because this movie is a very small movie that a lot of people might not have heard. Should we do a quick synopsis of it,
yeah, yeah,
real
sure. So
real quick?
yeah,
Go for it.
okay.
Or
So
yeah, it doesn't matter.
so there's three main characters in it. Basically, there's Wyatt, Christian, and Maria.
Mara,
Mara,
I
Mara,
think it's
Mara. Okay, so Wyatt is going to I don't know why he's going there. They don't explain why he's on a train going to where Christian lives, or if he's
I think it has to do with his fiance. I think
yeah,
that
because
there was a
I think they imply in the movie, definitely, especially by the end, that he just gave up his fiance because he thought that, like, as he says, that she was cheating on him, and then she broke up with him. But I think it was the other way around because he thought that she was turning into one of the creatures.
right.
So he leaves, and he's on this train walking around, and he bumps into his friend Christian that he hasn't seen in many years, and Christian's kind of depressed because he has nobody in his life, and he's kind of just lonely. And so then they get to know each other again, and the Christian is about to go on a date with his boss Mara, and decides to bring Christian with him, which leads them to have to go to the hospital because Mara's friend slips on the ice, and after that you start to see that Wyatt is going kind of, you don't know if he's going crazy or if this is all real, because he's getting phone calls at night telling him how to prepare for the coming, basically, apocalypse, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it's basically just the end of the world. And And you don't know what that's supposed to look like either. You don't know if like a whole bunch of normal looking people are all of a sudden going to turn into aliens and whip out laser guns and start killing people, or how it's going to go. And he just keeps telling, and this voice keeps telling him to prepare and stuff like that. So then after a while, Christian and Wyatt hang out and get to know each other, and Wyatt's not sure if he should tell Christian what's happening, and he's conflicted as to whether this is just in his head, and he's seeing more and more people. He hears a buzzing whenever he's around one of the creatures.
That sound.
It's so scary, isn't it?
It's still
so scary.
It keeps me up at night sometimes.
It's so distinctive too.
Oh, it's like that insect noise. Oh.
Yeah, there's certain things, because that's what it sounds like. It sounds like flies buzzing.
Yeah.
Which makes it sound. It makes them. It's like, it's almost. I think it kind of reminds you in your head of like zombies almost, or just something dead. You know, like that's the sound you think of when something's just dead. You know?
But it sounds ominous as all.
It sounds very ominous. So he's going around, and he at first he thinks his psychiatrist is turned into one of them. So he just kind of gets away from his psychiatrist and doesn't.
Which is a great scene, by the way.
It is a great scene, because it's where you really think. Oh, you know, you kind of just go, oh wow, now I get that he's really afraid.
Yeah,
like because you think about it, you're just like, there's no one, you don't know how to trust someone anymore. Yeah, you lose that really ability. And there's a really great part.
We trust. Sorry, not to interrupt, but we trusted him. The psychiatrist, as the viewer, he seems trustworthy. So
you think that the psychiatrist. You think at this point you kind of think, oh, okay, he's probably just crazy, and the psychiatrist, you know, is trying to help him with whatever hallucinations and stuff he's having. And there's a really great scene later where he's on the roof with a nail gun that he's unhooked the spring that causes when you have to push a nail gun in to be able to fire the nail. Dude, okay, he's about to kill himself with the nail gun, which I was thinking, that probably won't kill you for like several hours later when you bleed out, because that will probably make you, you know, suffer for a very long time.
That better be a long nail, man.
Yeah. Unless you're just big one.
And then he goes for his hand, and that's when I remember seeing it for the first time, and I put my hands on my head. I was like, oh my god, whether this is real or not.
This dude's freaking out.
This guy's going crazy, and he does it so calmly, and it just I got goosebumps. I'm talking about it right now. That scene where he puts the nail gun to his hand, I'm getting goosebumps just talking about it, because it was just, he was so okay with it. The fact that that's where he's at. So that is his current state.
The thing that I don't understand though, what is he hoping to accomplish by putting a nail through his hands? Is it just like to bring him back to reality? I'm wondering if it's like, you know how like you pinch yourself when you're in a dream?
That's a very interesting point. I didn't think about it like that, actually.
You know, oh, this is to wake me up. I wonder if he thinks, I have to know if any of this is real. You know what I mean? Like he wants to do something that'll really let him know this is real. I'm not just in this weird, crazy world where none of this is real, you know?
You might be right about that. That's a very interesting point, because to your point about the nail gun, what's he gonna like? I don't know if he's trying to kill himself. Yeah, what's he trying to do?
And then it goes from that to, he gets on the roof with the nail gun and he hears the buzzing from like the whole city.
Oh man!
And it's so crazy, because you're just like, and he's looking at people, and he's about to just start shooting people from his roof with a nail gun. And
I'm like, that's not a very accurate weapon, by the way.
I was also thinking, you could probably get away with just like shooting somebody in like the leg or something like that, and then hiding. You know?
Right. Like, oh, sorry, I'm doing some rooftop work. My bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like that. I don't want to say that this is what I like to think. I actually like your interpretation more. I never thought about it like that. I assumed from watching it that putting his hand, that he was almost trying to protect everyone else from him. You know, that he was nailing himself down. Because he was
worried, because he gets weapons. He's getting weapons and stuff to fight people. He's getting axes.
He's getting ropes. He's getting sodium chloride. You know, acid.
Oh yeah, dude. That was. Oh, dude. That's a very important scene later on.
Yeah.
But so after that, he thinks that Mara is the one calling him. So he invites Mara to come down to his bunker basement, anti-alien basement. Where, I mean, it's basically like the kind of thing that you think of where people wear tinfoil hats and are like, okay, the aliens can't hear us down here. I mean, he literally says they can't hear us
Yeah,
down here.
exactly. Yeah.
And she thinks he's like some kind of like serial killer or something like that. Which I get. To me, I was thinking he's not talking like he's trying to be creepy. He's talking like someone who believes in aliens. Like it
Yeah.
wasn't like, to me it was like, why are you like acting like he's a serial killer? Like she kind of had that way of thinking about him, it seemed. But
Yeah, for me, I was okay with her reaction because when you drag someone down to a basement like that and you're like, "Hey, it's
yeah,
okay, they can't hear us," I'm like, "Oh, okay, security."
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
automatically I'm
that's
starting to
true.
get my antennas are starting to.
I guess it's hard to think of it because you're so used to how he's seeing stuff that it's kind of hard to be like, okay, forget everything that he's thinking about. Just like from a totally neutral standpoint, how does this sound?
Right.
So then she freaks out and never talks to Christian again because
By the way, I love, sorry not to interrupt, but I love the fact that they establish earlier in the film that she knows how to fight because her threat about like get out of my way or
yeah,
I'm going to hurt you, and I'm like, good for you
yeah,
guys. You established that this
yeah,
girl's not one to mess with. So us as the viewer is going, all right, yeah, no,
yeah.
why you should get out of the way.
Which
She's gonna knock your head off
which
if you don't
she
watch it.
breaks Wyatt's nose
Right,
later on
later,
during the
yeah, and
film.
there's further proof of it.
And
Yeah,
so I think it's close after this that Christian loses his job. Or no, it's right around this time, a little
yeah.
before this time that
I think it's right after,
Christian.
actually. I'm pretty sure
It,
it's right. No, you're right.
I
You're right.
think it
It
is
is
right
right
before
before.
because that's
You're
why
right.
Mara
You're right.
shows up,
Yep.
is
Yep.
because she
That's right.
feels bad for firing him.
Yeah.
So then after that, uh, when Wyatt decides to tell Christian, hey, here's a note. He gives him a note piece of paper that has all this crazy is theory about what's happening and what he's seeing, and he kind of just goes, okay, why don't we just go to bed? And they just kind of forget about it basically until the morning, and all through this whole time the creepiest parts are these dreams he's having. These
Oh. Oh
dude,
yeah.
these
That
I
phone
gotta
call
say,
that comes right afterwards from a
oh yeah,
woman that I don't want to
from
spoil. I don't want to spoil it, but there's a woman who calls, and the last thing she says, I, again, another head or hands on the head moment, like just oh my god, this is insane. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. There's
yeah.
someone special to him, and I just, oh man, that one.
See, okay, so I had a question though. Was that, if you notice, that's the same voice that Christian has playing in his headphones though. So for
Is
some,
it?
I've watched it twice now, and I thought, is that Christian's girlfriend?
Oh
Because
man, now we're
before,
talking about, now we're getting into, are they the same person?
yeah,
Oh,
it's
dude,
it can get,
we're gonna dive into this
yeah,
like Inception,
yeah,
if we don't watch it. I
and
didn't
so
notice that actually. Is
yeah,
that there might be
yeah,
some truth to that?
yeah. So I didn't know if maybe she left Christian because she loved Wyatt, or I
Oh,
mean, you don't know. I mean, really, you don't necessarily know. But
if,
dude, these dreams are
mm,
so terrifying.
oh yeah.
Are some of the most terrifying, especially the one dude where you see Christian standing there and
Oh
he's
man,
smiling, and then a guy in a gas mask.
gas masks are officially like one of the scarier masks you can ever wear,
Oh
ever.
yeah,
Like they're
and
terrifying.
then we later on realize that that's, I guess that's Wyatt, isn't it? Because he's
I
wearing a gas mask and in that same
I
suit.
I think that's a fair interpretation of it. Yeah.
Um, which I'm sure that if you wanted to look at this as more of a psychological movie, you could say, oh, that this all has a meaning to it. These dreams are like subconscious. What his subconscious is trying to tell him, that he's tearing his friend apart or whatever. But then you see this dude with a gas mask, like, it starts splitting Christian's head in half.
Yeah.
And but dude, the dream that creeped me out the most though was the one that's in the opening, and the
Oh
where
my
you
God.
see him in bed and his girlfriend's also in bed, and they're just laying there, and he has his eyes open and he's just staring at the back of her head, and then she rolls over and you can't see her face.
Just a little light on her
There's a little
cheek.
bit light on like her cheek,
Yeah.
and she's just staring at him, is what you get. You get the message that she's just staring right into his eyes.
Did you see at the last moment? If you go back and look at it real slowly, and you might have picked this up already, but you see her jaw just
I was
slightly.
watching it with somebody, and they told me that right after that happened.
Oh
'Cause
man,
I didn't pick that up.
I mentioned in my review that I legitimately like I wanted to see the second time before I officially reviewed it. So I was like, you know what? I've seen it before. I know the scares. I know majority
Yeah,
of what happens. I've already seen it. I
it's
turn
still
off all my
scary.
lights.
It's
I turn
still
off
scary.
all my lights. That part happened. Lights went right back on.
Oh yeah,
Not a chance. Not a chance in hell. And I know exactly what happened in this movie. And I was like, nope, no, not doing it.
yeah.
Not
This I
doing
mean
this with the lights off.
this movie's terrifying in
It
every
really
way,
is.
especially those dream sequences. They're so weird and so
Oh yeah.
strange, and that's the thing I think that a lot of people weren't expecting, is that it's the kind of terror that's like slow burning, and
Hmm.
just it's almost like The Shining in ways, where The
Yeah.
Shining was very slow burning, but it was these moments where it was just like of eeriness and real terror. Like I compare it to like something like the scene in The Shining where you find out the entire time he's been writing red rum on the typewriter.
Oh, you
And
mean
that
the
in the
one with the all no play makes Jack a dull boy, that whole bit. Is that what you're talking about,
yeah,
the
where
type?
his wife comes down and looks at what
Yeah,
he's
yeah,
been
yeah.
writing, and he has
Oh man.
stacks of pages of that, and you're just like, oh my gosh.
Right.
It's not
Well,
it's not it's not a jump scare, but it's
exactly.
just this strange feeling of like
But
it's a
man, is it
realization of
right.
that's terrifying,
And that was something I watched it again recently, and there's one scene where he's on the phone in the basement, and he gets a call from I
Oh,
won't
I
say
know
it,
what you're
but
talking
there's
about.
a woman.
And the
Yeah,
lights go out,
and the lights go out,
and
and the
and nothing
person says,
happens.
and
Nothing
nothing
happens.
happens.
But I
Nothing.
gotta tell you,
God
I
love
was
them for doing that.
so scared in
I
that,
oh, and it
because
makes
what's
it so much.
happening? Yeah,
It makes me take the movie seriously. The
yeah,
fact that I'm
because
like, oh, okay, so you guys aren't going to go for the cheap scare.
yeah,
Good for you. So I'm
like
dealing with a
yeah.
self-respecting film here. Good.
So just to clarify for the audience, what happens is Wyatt finds out the person on the phone who's been using like a voice modulator to talk to him is actually Mara, which we talked about a little bit earlier, and she's talking to him, and she just says, Wyatt, is there someone else down there with you?
Hey,
And then it cuts, and then the lights just break.
let me just correct you on one thing, only because this one I didn't notice it until this time. But she goes, "Is there something down there with you?"
Oh,
And that
is it something? I
oh,
thought that
it's
it was
something.
someone.
Yeah, but for whatever reason, the fact that she says something, it's a
It
whole nother ball
creates,
game.
yeah,
It's a whole nother ball game.
it creates again. There's that few movies can capture
Oh,
of a creature that you don't know anything about, and it's so terrifying that you don't know. It's very much like The Thing too,
mm-hmm.
which is one of my favorite movies of all
Great
time.
movie.
It's a great movie, especially has some of the probably the greatest practical effects
Oh,
ever.
I would have no problem with you
Um,
coming up with, stating that argument and stating that point. It's
because
incredible what they
yeah,
were able to do.
oh yeah, definitely, and
You know,
it makes me so sad that I don't see more of that.
oh yeah,
I want to see,
absolutely.
like, I just think, show that. Like, here's something I don't understand, and I'm really happy this is starting to happen more and more, especially in the indie scene. Make more movies that were like in the 70s and 80s.
Right. Yeah.
Make more
Like It
Halloweens.
Follows,
Make
like
more,
this one. Yeah.
yeah. It Follows is a classic creature monster movie. And
Hmm.
and they look like people, and the Babadook.
The
The
Babadook,
Babadook,
yes.
great movie. Have that on Blu-ray too with the
Great movie.
cover. Have you seen it where it has the sleeve that looks like the book?
Oh, no, I haven't seen it.
It pops out,
You
and it
know what?
has in it the a pop out of the Babadook, and it says, if it's a word or you it what is it?
Oh
If it's
man.
a word or a look, if it's a sound, if it's a look or a sound, you can't get rid of the Babadook. I can't,
Babadook, yeah.
something like that.
The sick person in me who enjoys these movies was actually thinking about it the other day, going, you know what? I wonder if that book actually exists. Like the people of the movie
Yeah,
actually just decided to make the
yeah.
book. I was like, I should look for that on like
Dude,
Amazon.
some creepy stuff like that. I always think
Oh man.
stuff like that's really creepy, especially if you look at like The Conjuring. The
Hmm.
Conjuring is very because like the Annabelle doll actually exists,
Oh
and it's in
really?
an
Oh, I didn't know
actual
that.
music. That little music, that little room full of magic dark demon stuff they have.
Oh wow.
That's a real thing, and
I
it's a
did not know
museum
that.
now, and you can
Oh.
go visit their house, which kind of makes me think, okay, maybe they are actually kind of faking a lot of this stuff, because like if you have like demon possessed stuff, at least you think that you have demon possessed stuff. Why would you be like, here, pay admission to come see it? You know what I mean? Like
Oh
you
yeah.
think you'd be like, okay, I'm the guardian of this place. I can't let anybody in this room ever, because that's such a big thing in The Conjuring. Okay, so anyway, in They Look Like People, I guess we'll just skip a little bit. So the war is about to start against humanity and these creatures, and so Wyatt's like, okay, Christian, come with me. We're gonna get out of here. We're just gonna leave town and never come back. Oh, and he finds out that Mara has been turned into one of these creatures too.
Oh man, that scene,
Um,
dude. That
that
was it.
scene's
I was
really
like, this
creepy.
is over. That's it. I'm
Where his
turning this off.
smile,
Oh my god.
dude. Oh
And then the
gosh.
eyes go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Yeah. So, and it kind of makes, I kind of wonder sometimes, what does he do? You know what I mean? What does he do after he sees this stuff? Yeah, and
Yeah,
and
well,
how did that, like for instance, wouldn't you think
run.
you'd sprint out running? But then nobody seems to, you know, freak out or anything when. I mean, I suppose you could say that was all a dream, because the only time that people turn seems to be in his dreams, most of the time.
Yeah,
Um,
I got.
so anyway, so he's freaking out. He's like, okay, we got to just leave. We got to pack all our stuff and go.
Mhm.
Don't care about anything else. And you have no clue how this is gonna be. You have no clue how this is gonna look. And they do a very good job at making it so that they don't have to show everything happening. Like they don't have to actually show a war between aliens and
Oh yeah.
humans on screen happening for you to understand this. So, and dude, this was so cool. Where so the voice tells him three cracks of thunder in a totally clear sky is the signal for the war to start.
Yep.
And then here's the first crack, and at the same time, Christian's looking at the car and realizing he's just stolen this car.
Yeah.
And you realize how desperate he is. You realize that he's really, I mean, he's just terrified at this point. It's no longer, I'm like this hero or whatever. He's just like, okay, I just want to live. I don't
Right.
care if I get arrested or whatever.
Yeah,
If it means I'm not going
this
to
is Walking
die.
Dead style.
It,
This is
it
Walking.
really
This
is.
yeah.
It really is. It's like if you knew what was going to happen in The Walking Dead before The Walking Dead happened, like before
Yeah.
the zombie outbreak happened. You just be like,
Yeah.
"I'm
Absolutely.
sorry." You just be like, "Listen, I really need to take this car." Like, you'd freak. I mean, you'd freak out. You do whatever it took,
Oh
really,
yeah.
to
It,
save, yourself and whoever was close to you.
if you're
So,
convinced of it, if you got like a 2 week head start, you're
yeah.
you're going. You're
Yeah.
like,
Oh
that's
yeah.
it.
You're not gonna sleep because you're thinking it's gonna happen here, and it's so terrifying because he goes back to the trunk and then starts pulling all the stuff out of the trunk that they just put in, and he's like, go inside.
By the way,
And
on that point, I just want to because something you mentioned earlier that maybe they were in love with the same woman. You see that looks like there's like a chart, looks like a schedule, and it looks almost like it's a child's handwriting or something. Um, I can't remember exactly what it was, but it looked like okay. So this whoever owned this car, they had kids, and it makes me wonder if at some point, and I don't want to get into spoiler territory, it's really not that big of a deal. It's just a little one-liner. But what's his name? Christian mentions, we hear that with his fiance that she was pregnant because he says that I'm going to be a dad. And so now you got me thinking like, wait, did she have the kid and he met her later or something? I don't know. You just
oh
I don't know.
yeah,
There's
I forgot that does happen, doesn't he?
yeah, he's
Because what
got
I
a
was
kid.
what I was
Or actually, we don't
assuming,
know if he has a kid.
what
We
I
don't know
was
what happens with the child, but
well,
he's expecting to be a
the
dad.
way that I interpreted that was that they were going to get married, and it's like, oh, down the line we'll have kids. It's like when you
Oh,
think,
okay, gotcha.
I'm gonna be a dad, I'm gonna have a great job, I'm gonna have a beautiful
Yeah,
wife,
I I think
all
that
that
I
sort
think
of
that
stuff.
idea the idea I just mentioned. I think it's a total long shot, but it just got me thinking when you said that maybe they because the voices were the same,
Yeah, yeah.
between so I was like anyway, just a idea. But
So
anyway, yeah,
then
keep going.
Give me
so
a
then they go
second.
to the basement to just hide. They're basically just gonna hide there until everything ends. Which I don't. That's something they didn't explain. I think this is probably just his paranoia. He had no long term plan. Because really, if you think about it, if the alien apocalypse is going to happen, you can't just sit in your basement and everything's going to be fine. Like that won't work out for you very well.
Right.
And
Give me
then
a second.
go ahead. Okay.
Because
Um,
I love how this short synopsis is
I
turned
know.
into a
I
30-minute
know.
discussion.
I know.
To where I have never seen a scary movie in my life.
Okay. I
So I'm
know.
sitting here bored to death.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I should have told you
I've
to
never
watch it
even
ahead of
seen The
time.
Shining.
Oh, sir.
That's such.
That's
I mean,
that's a sad
painful.
thought.
Yeah.
I've never seen Frank Krueger. Never
Okay.
seen
We're about
any of that.
this is like the end of the movie here. Okay. So and then Wyatt realizes that that Christian is, he thinks that Christian's one of these things. Okay. And dude, the scene in which this happens, because he thinks that, like, they can infect you via sound or looking at you. So he sticks a sock in his mouth and puts a bag over his head. And Christian's insane too for letting all this happen. Because I mean,
I think Christian gave up. Christian's
I think
done.
I think so too. Because after he loses his job, I think, because we see the whole time he's listening to like audio tapes that his girlfriend made of him, or his fiance, of him just make like confidence stuff, like stuff to build confidence and self-esteem, like you're invincible, you're a mountain, you're a flowing ocean, nothing can stop you, stuff.
And now
like
that thing's gone, he's got nothing. Nothing.
I think that to him, his confidence really was built around that job,
Absolutely.
because he was thinking, I got a nice job, that's it, like I've lost everything else, my fiance's gone, I don't have anything else to work with. So then I think once he loses that job, he realizes, all I have now is Wyatt. That's it. So I can't lose him. I think that's why by the end he's just like, hey, whatever you want, man, let's do it. Because I think he's just thinking, if I die, I'm okay with that, and if I live, I get to have my best friend.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
it was one of the biggest examples of like, of friendship I might have ever seen in a film.
Great, dude. I gotta say, when they're just at their apartment, just like playing games and stuff.
Oh, it's so great. It's so real.
You so much think these are real. This is how a real human being acts.
Exactly. I told my wife.
Friends.
I told my wife when we watch it, I was like, I paused it. I was like, just so you know, this is what guys do when they get drunk. This is real.
Like
they play sock wars.
Yes. and I love the part where he goes, I caught it in the gauntlet. You can't. It doesn't count when you catch it in the gauntlet.
Oh, it's so great.
It's what real. And it really takes you back to like just being a little kid and being like 6 years old and just hanging out with other 6-year-olds, and you're running around and playing, making up games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So he ties him up and he puts a bag over his head, and then he gets in a corner and basically goes into the fetal position with sulfuric acid and just kind of waits as the war is supposed to start at 6.
Right.
And it's about to happen, and then the lights go out, and then the scariest. I was thinking about this. I said this to myself right after I watched the movie. That was probably one of the most well constructed scenes in a horror movie I've ever seen.
It was phenomenal
because it was so well made. Just the pacing of it, and dude, I gotta say, so what happens is the lights go out, and you start seeing him transform, and it's so creepy because they have the bag over his head, and you see the bag is changing shape, like his head is transforming shape inside of the bag, and his hands are starting to bleed, just for no reason, just bleed, and they're vulnerable to acid, is what he learns from the voice, and the voice is playing as this whole scene's going on, where it's saying, that is not a mother, that is not a father, that is not a brother, not a sister, not a lover, not a daughter, and he says at the end, that is a monster that wants to kill you, and I'll be honest, okay, I wanted this movie to end with he pours the acid on his head, and you don't find out what happens. You don't find out if any of it was real or if it was fake. You just know that he killed who he thought was his friend and was actually a monster. That's what he thought happened.
Mm-hmm.
and so what happens is that he can't kill his own best friend, so he pulls the bag off his head, and it's still Christian, and then the lights are on, and they hug, and that's the end of the movie. Now, what's interesting is that I thought there's nothing to say that it's not all real still. You know, because
it's possible.
The thing is that you could just say at the end he really did go crazy, but the aliens are all still real. That he just, it's, for instance, like if you were in a science fiction movie, and like take example The Thing. The Thing is actually a perfect example where someone isn't the Thing, but they have a little bit, but the person's perceiving it as though, oh gosh, you're the Thing, I gotta kill you. Where they just, you just think, okay, he's just going crazy in this crazy situation. Right? So really, because, or here's the thing, you see him spit the sock out.
Oh, yeah.
Which is super gross.
That was nasty. That was gnarly.
So you could say that he got infected at the end.
Yeah,
that he
and
heard.
Who knows? What happens if they let the camera linger for 5 extra seconds? You hear like boom, explosion outside.
Like, you don't know.
Oh my
you don't
God.
know, for instance, you don't know that he didn't transform back right after he took the bag off.
Right.
And then was just like, "Hey man, it's still me. Why don't you let me go?" And then immediately he kills him. Or again, Christian is an alien, and the aliens storm the basement right after that and kill them both.
So
and it's
where do you stand on it? What's your what conclusion have you drawn? I'm curious. I haven't talked to anybody else.
Yeah, because here's what I would like to believe. I would like to believe that it was all real, and that that either A, Christians is an alien, or they go outside and the whole world's gone.
That would be fun, man.
That would be fun.
That would be real fun.
Because I don't want to interpret it as it's all just a psychological movie and it's all just this wonderful tale of friendship and joy and how two friends love each other and scene. Like I don't want to interpret it as that kind of movie. I want it to be
like there's an apocalyptic.
Movie. I want it to be a body snatcher movie. I don't want it to be a psychological documentary, kind of
like how 10 Cloverfield Lane ends a little bit.
I have not seen 10 Cloverfield Lane. I really
there's hints at an alien invasion.
Okay.
There's hints. Whether it's real or not, that's up to you. But I don't mean to spoil it. My bad. But it's that was a real jerk move. My bad.
But this is definitely one of the best indie horror movies I've ever seen. We Are Still Here is also a great one.
I'll throw out there, I actually had the exact same interpretation you did, where I was like, I want to believe that hold the camera 5 seconds longer, there's going to be some aliens storming the place, or we're going to hear explosions or weird sounds and people
laser
screaming.
Guns, something. UFOs flying around, whatever you want to say it is.
Exactly. But my thought at the end of the day, personally, again, this is a great way that they ended it, is that it's all up to your own interpretation. And for me, what I found is the more I've seen this movie probably like 10 times. I adore this film. And where I've come to settle is that this really is, you got two stories going on. You've got the two friends, and then you have Wyatt's story. You've got this buddy comedy drama, and then you've got this psychological horror movie, sci-fi movie, And what I
that's interesting, because you can interpret it as a psychological horror movie or as a sci-fi movie.
I've rarely seen a movie that can combine all those genres. I mean, that's 4 different genres right there that it really combines beautifully and smoothly. And for me, when I came after seeing it so many times, I probably should have done something else with my time, but I can't help but watch this movie over and over again. What I came to, my thought was, you know what, really, this is a story about 2 friends, and that's the story that wins, and that it really is, at the end of the day, you've got this frosting of a psychological horror film, but the foundation, the meat of the movie is really this buddy comedy drama about these 2 friends who are troubled and need each other, and at the end of the day, they show that.
I think that's right. I think the purpose of showing that Christian's human at the end is that that at least Wyatt felt fulfilled kind of at the end. Like he felt
Right.
content at
God,
the end.
how great was it when he just starts like laughing, crying when he pulls the bag off, and
Yeah,
he's just like,
dude,
he's
imagine
he's
you think,
hysterical about it.
because dude, imagine thinking that your friends, I mean, because he describes what it looks like, what these they
Oh my
transform,
God, and
and
it's just
their
terrifying.
smile stretches past their ears, which you don't even know what that means,
Right.
and then your head splits open and there's something there, and he doesn't even say what it is,
Oh
like, and
yeah.
you just kind of assume, is it like a tiny alien? Like it's like you know what I mean? Like there's
Or
this
is it
tiny
like one of the
alien
big
piloting their brain,
right?
or
Or is it a gigantic alien? Is it like a cockroach from Men
yeah,
in Black? Like who knows?
or is it like the Thing where the head splits open and it's like this weird? They just exist with their head split open with
Right,
stuff
with
coming out of it.
spider legs or
Yeah,
whatever. Yeah.
whatever you want to say. So it's definitely a great movie. I'm not sure I can think of any flaws in this movie because this movie I think was exactly what it wanted to be. I don't think there was
Yeah.
anything that you could say, they should have done this differently or they should have done this differently, because they made exactly the way they wanted to make it.
And they did it really, really well within their means, considering that this is a
Definitely.
low budget film.
Definitely.
And
There's
I'm just
and it
so
makes it
impressed
so
with
much
that.
creepier when in those dreams when somebody's transforming, they cut off what it looks like.
Yeah,
They don't show you. They
exactly.
just show you for a split second the bits and pieces of what it looks like when they're about to transform.
Yeah, I've seen the movie several times, and you could ask me, well, what does it look like? I don't know. Couldn't tell you. I've got
Yeah.
no idea. I can tell
Yeah.
you what I kind of think it might look like, but it's going to be very different from your interpretation of what it looks like, which is so cool that you get to see this movie and be like,
Have you seen the movies We Are Still Here and Creep? Have you
I've
either
seen
one of those?
Creep. But I
Okay.
haven't seen We Are Still
Okay,
Here.
We Are Still Here. You should watch that. That's actually on Netflix right now. It's fantastic.
Good.
It's
I was looking for something to watch
great.
tonight, so I
Yeah,
might
it's
take you up
it's
on
a
that.
it's a great. It's like, okay, imagine if you combined Evil Dead and I'm trying to think of like a haunted house movie, just like the kind of house where it's like a family is out in this house and they're their sons died and now they're just like boo hoo hoo, I think his spirit is still here. It's like that, but you throw in
Wow,
Evil
interesting.
Dead 2 into that.
Okay.
So it's very
Ooh,
weird,
well-
especially by the end. The end is super gory.
I can do the math on that.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me. All
There's
right.
even this hole where blood sprays out of the hole, just like in Evil Dead 2. If you've
Yikes.
seen that,
Okay.
it's pretty crazy by the end. But Creep, dude, I watched that yesterday, and wow,
Gotta love the Duplass brothers, man.
wow,
They're
yeah,
great.
I love indie movies, dude. There are some great indie movies coming out recently,
Mhm.
that are
Like
really
with
taking it back
video
to
on-
the roots of like the 60s to 80s horror movies, which is really really cool.
With video on demand, I think that it's giving an outlet for more indie films. I mean, I could be wrong about that, but I feel like that's, now you've got people who can just make indie films and just no intention of putting them out in theaters, but just strictly video on demand, and it's a good, it depends on who you ask, I guess, but I feel like it's a pretty cool time for independent film.
Definitely. Did you like Creep? Were you a fan of that?
I did. I did, especially because when I walked out. This is another one I saw at the International Film Festival here in Chicago. I think it might have been a year or two back, but when I saw it, It Follows back in that year. But I remember walking out and people were so angry about all the jump scares. But by the end of the movie, I was like, it's hysterical. They're like,
Yeah,
they're
like-
making a joke
yeah.
about it.
Yeah, because the jump scares. I even heard an interview with this that they were saying that some people were jumping and then some people were just laughing at all the jump scares.
I was
Because
one of the
they're-
guys laughing. I
Yeah,
was
'cause-
jumping at first, and then I was laughing.
They're very not jump scares even. They're
No.
kind of just like boo.
Yeah.
And
Oh,
it's-
totally.
and
That's exactly.
that's
what it is.
literally what it is sometimes. Sometimes he literally just goes ah
Well, here's the
into the camera.
Here's the funny thing about that movie is they apparently, from what I read, correct me if I'm wrong, but they were making it and they didn't really know what it was. They were making a found footage, like kind of buddy something or other. I guess kind of comedy drama.
Yeah,
I don't know. They were making
heard
something.
I heard them
and
say what they wanted it to be was like a to show like a personality type, which is that really creepy guy.
Yes.
You're just
Yeah.
kind of like, he's not outright like evil, but just sort of unsettling when you meet
Right.
him. And they said the whole movie was kind of inspired by like Craigslist ads,
Yeah.
where like
Yeah.
it's just like somebody answers. And I gotta say, what did you think of the general ending of it?
I think that I don't. I really liked the very the climactic, very quiet park sequence. I don't know if I don't want to
That
get
that
that. I thought that was great. That
so strange.
what did you think? I love that part. That was I was sitting there going, "What's happened? Oh my God in heaven, what is
Well, what
happening
what I
now?"
thought was here's something that I found bizarre. It, he's just sitting there
Yeah.
in broad daylight
Right.
and in like a park,
Yeah.
and he gets an
Exactly.
axe to the head,
To the head. Oh God. And that
and
whole
you're
thing. I
just
mean,
like, and
him
and
creeping up.
you know what's worse though is that like you hear like a lawnmower going the whole time,
Right.
and
You're
you're
like,
just
there's
like,
people around,
people
right?
are around here.
I'm pretty sure there's like a swing set around
Yeah,
somewhere. Like, are
and I
there
mean,
aren't
he
there
even when he's
people?
showing, hey, this is a really public place. Let's meet here, and we'll just talk it out. There's like people like bicycling past there, and it's so strange because you're not that like terrifies you because it just thinks you just think anyone can do that.
Oh yeah,
Anyone can just
absolutely.
kill you.
Oh yeah,
Like I think a lot of people I try to make them think that, oh, there's like safe places where nothing bad can happen to you.
oh yeah,
But like somebody can just walk up to you and shoot you in the face and you're
oh yeah,
dead.
yeah. I live in
That's
Chicago. I
yeah.
mean, there's plenty of
Yeah.
opportunity for
Yeah.
that stuff here.
Yeah.
I mean, God,
And
I love it here. But yeah, no,
and
it's
you guys don't
true.
have any guns to defend yourselves with, do you?
Right, that's
So that
right.
makes it
Yeah.
worse.
It's very true. I mean,
Curse you, Obama, as I wave my fist out my window.
but the thing was, you asked about the ending, and for me, I would have thought, for me personally, would have loved for them to just end it right after the act sequence. I didn't
That
need
would
the
have been,
follow.
yeah.
I didn't need the follow up stuff. To me, that
Well,
was
it
like,
was
okay.
it was dude, I gotta say though, it's very creepy when you see that like it's like a dresser of other DVDs
Right.
that he's recorded all these people getting murdered apparently, and then you hear him saying, hey, whatever your name is, yeah, I'm just cleaning something. So you want to meet up tomorrow and start the filming, and so he just does this
Yeah. This
all
is
the
just
time.
his gig.
Here's what I wasn't sure about. Okay, so when I love how when Aaron gets his cell phone and starts talking to he finds out it's his sister, and is like what, and she just says, my brother has issues, and he's
Yeah.
just like, issues, what the heck are you talking about? This dude's crazy.
Right.
and and she's so calm, and it's very unsettling though how calm she is. You know what I mean? That's
Oh
what kind
yeah.
of makes it creepier almost, because she just goes, listen, I want you to give me the name of the address that you're at, and I want you to get up, I want you to get out of that house and just
Oh
keep
man.
walking. Okay, don't look for your keys, don't do anything, just get out and just keep walking. And you're
Oh
just
man.
like,
I'm looking around right now.
you're
I'm getting
just thinking,
suspicious about
you're
my
just
apartment.
and dude, what's scary is that wolf mask.
Oh,
That
that's
wolf
so
mask,
great.
Peach Fuzz, is super
Pete,
scary.
what a great name.
That is
Peach
because that
Fuzz.
sounds, because
That's such an
it's so,
oxymoron of a
yeah,
name.
it's
Like it's
so kind and cuddly and weird at the
yeah.
same time, but then it's such a horrific mask. So
Yeah, no, it totally is. I gotta say and I actually agree with your point about the end where he calls a person up and it's like, this is just what he does. This is just a
yeah,
standard issue
so what
2 weeks
I
for
don't
him.
understand, does his sister know he's a serial killer, or
Man,
does she just think that he has like Alzheimer's, like not Alzheimer's, but like ADHD or something, like
like
ADD,
he's
or
just
like he's
like
just you
she's
know
just seeing like the top layer. She's just seeing like the iceberg above the
like that
water.
he's just
Like
creepy.
he's
Is
just
it?
unstable.
Yeah.
You should probably not be hanging with him unless he's in a straitjacket. But she's not like actually aware of it. I like to think that. I like to think that she's not
Yeah.
even
Well,
actually
they
aware of
kind
it.
of hint at the fact that he just moves around too, because they say that he's renting that house. That's not even his house. Um,
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's what I don't they I think this is interesting though how in that movie they don't really explain his feelings towards Aaron. You know that like he says at the end, you know, that he loves him, that he because he's the only real friend basically that he's ever had, because he's the only one who cared about him. But he still
Right.
kills him at the end. So you're
Yeah, I mean,
just
it's all relative, I guess. Whatever that
yeah. I
relationship
mean,
means to you and how you
yeah.
choose to act. I don't know.
Like I didn't understand if I don't know. I guess it was just confusing though the reason for why he does this. You know, I think
Yeah,
it's just I think it's
that's
just
why
go ahead.
that was why I think the ending with him going back. Although I do agree, it is creepy when he's calling the people up and continuing after the axe part.
And you see
I was like,
the
I,
DVD thing, dude, was the
yeah,
scariest part for me because it
and
shows
because I
stuff like Steve in the park, and
right,
they're all labeled, which is
yeah,
wor it's so terrifying because it's like you're just this guy's memorabilia wall, you know?
right,
That's all that these people are.
and I
And then
guess
and
yeah,
that's what's so worse is that you see DVDs, but it's like at the same time you're like each one of those is a murder.
right.
Every single one. And there's like what, over 50 of them?
Oh yeah,
There's got
easy.
to be cuz there's
It's a whole
I mean,
shelf.
yeah,
There's
there's
shelves of that
multiple
stuff.
shelves
Yeah,
of them.
and I think that's once they introduce that for me, I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa! I need to know more. I need wait, wait, what? I need to know more about the story. I like a great abrupt ending. For me, I don't mind those. Like, have you ever
Yeah,
seen the movie Kill List?
I've not.
Okay, you need if you're in a horror movie mode, Kill List is one of I think it's one of my top 10 favorite films of all time, and it's got one of the best abrupt endings ever. It came out in like 2013 or something or 11 maybe. Ben Wheatley just came out with the director of it. He just came out with a movie called High Rise. Um, which is now on video on demand. It's one of my favorite like horror movies. It's a common. It's like They Look Like People. It's a combination of multiple genres. I cannot recommend it more. But that has one of the best abrupt endings I've ever seen, and I wouldn't have minded. You know, I just for me seeing that part that you're talking about with the shelves, I'm like, oh man, we gotta, dude, make this 20 minutes longer. I gotta see.
Yeah.
I gotta dig into who this guy is. Even though
Yeah.
it did have a great, I think it has a great jump scare at the end, isn't there? Like at like the very end, with the doesn't he like
I
pull the wolf mask up? And
maybe
I think he
I can't
does, and
quite remember.
it's
One
just like
of
the
the
last thing. Yeah.
one of the most scary scenes in that movie though for me is when Aaron's trying to get out of the house and
Yeah,
he puts on the mask
and
and
he's just
just
like
stands up
blocking the
against the
door
wall. Yeah.
or the wall.
And
Yeah.
then
Oh
and
man.
then he asks he goes like, "Joseph, are you going to let me out of here?" And he just not and he just like turns his head no. And it's so scary cuz it's like there's something I always admire about a great horror movie mask. There's
Hmm.
always something to admire. Have you seen Hush?
No, it's on my list
That's
though.
it's
I'm gonna be seeing that
it's
soon.
fantastic, man.
I know
It's
that mask though. I've
fantastic.
seen the
The
trailers for it. It
mask
looks great.
is beautiful. The worst part though is that in very early on he just takes it off and then doesn't put
Oh,
it back on. And I'm thinking,
oh really?
why? It's so
Yeah.
good because
We don't want to.
it makes him look so menacing and stuff. And that movie, I really like that movie too because what I've appreciated about modern serial killer movies, and I think this is really spawned from Psycho, is that serial killers are really small people, like physically, like they're
Physically,
very yeah, like they're very
like Freddy
like
Krueger.
yeah, like stuff like that. They're not like Jason. Like no serial
Right.
killers don't look like Jason. They
Yeah.
look like they're the timid, quiet, weird
Oh
people.
man, and that's the one that you
You
just
know,
go, no, 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 no. I
like
don't.
okay,
The big
it
guy is one thing,
and
but
the
yeah.
origin and really that does spawn from Norman Bates. You know, because Norman
Hmm.
Bates was one of those guys where it's like he's really weird, and he's really scrawny and doesn't talk much, and he's just kind of unusual. And then it's like and then he's a psychopath too. So and in Hush they really do that portray that really well, that he's very small, but
Ah.
he's just very good at killing people too.
Oh
Because
boy.
there's
Jeez.
a point in which he meets a much bigger guy, and and says something. I can't remember exactly. He says something like uh, he pretends to be a cop to fool somebody, and
Uh-huh.
and he's talking to this big guy, and he's saying, we're not all like 6'1", bodybuilders, and after all, and then he like stabs him in the throat, and you're
Kind of
just
like Brad Pitt from Troy, like the very beginning, where he just
yeah
goes up against the guy who's like 8'7" or something, and
yeah.
he just goes and runs up, jumps, and boom, sword right between the clavicle, and it's just
Well,
like, oh yeah, well I'm quicker.
what I heard somebody complain about this, and I disagreed about this. Okay, this isn't like super spoilery or anything.
Hmm.
But so the killer in Hush uses a crossbow. Okay,
Okay.
um, and I heard somebody say it doesn't really make sense for him to use a crossbow and stuff like that. Well, at one point the girl in the movie gets the crossbow for herself. Okay, and
Okay.
she sees on the crossbow it has like, what is it? I forgot what it's called. Where you just do markings to count, like you do like one line, two line, three lines, four lines, and then cross and out, and that's five. You know what I'm talking about?
No,
Where
I
it's
don't.
what people do on prisons to show how many days they've been in
Oh,
prison.
oh,
You know
yeah,
what I
yeah, yeah.
mean? Where
Like
you do like four lines and then
cross it out. Yeah.
diagonally through the line.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Yeah, I
has
understand
that
what
written
you're.
on the crossbow, like carved into the crossbow,
Yeah.
and
So you're
they
like, oh,
hint.
I can make an assumption about what those
Yeah,
mean.
they hint at the fact that that's how many people he's killed with it.
Right. Okay.
And I thought, if you're a serial killer, here's what I think a lot of people don't forget. There's a reason serial killers don't use guns. You know, it's because
Yeah.
they find enjoyment out of killing people.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't like it being fast because it kills somebody fast. That's why they use like knives and stuff.
Yeah. I think
Because
the Joker
knives,
said that in the Joker said that in the Dark
yeah,
Knight, I think.
yeah, because like knives are slow and painful.
Right.
So that's why you see every serial killer in every serial killer movie uses a knife and not like and that's why he uses a
They
crossbow, because a crossbow won't kill you. It'll
Right.
The
just
exact
hurt you
quote from The
really
Dark Knight
badly.
was, "Sometimes I use a knife to see every little emotion."
Yeah, yeah,
Well, with a gun, if you just shot it, it'd be
Yeah.
there and over with.
Yeah.
yeah.
You just
And
put
just
a,
sorry for not being talkative. I was literally asleep for the past 30 minutes since then.
well, you know what, dude, we're expecting a lot from you here coming up. So, it's good you
Yeah,
got your
yeah.
sleep in.
If you've got your PowerPoint presentation ready, we're ready to see it.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, wait, what?
By the way, Teddy, you mentioned that if you're a fan of masks and horror movies, you must have liked the movie You're Next.
I am going to see that soon
Oh
because
man,
I
dude,
have seen
great
those
masks,
masks,
great
and I
masks.
love that idea of, okay, a whole bunch of different killers and they all wear animal masks.
Oh,
Because
dude,
Well, I'm going back to
here's the
sleep.
thing, animal masks are great to me. Animal masks, just something about it, I just love the idea of,
oh yeah,
where
and they're
there's something that it can be whatever you want. It can be like adorable or creepy or
oh yeah,
anything.
and that's the thing is like you got like a lion mask, and so you're like one of them wears the lion mask, and you're like, oh well, that makes sense. Lions are scary, but then one's like a sheep mask, and I'm like, the
Oh
sheep is
yeah.
like the scariest one. The sheep is like the most terrifying one to me.
Yeah, dude,
Like,
that's what's so great, and stuff like if you get like goat masks, and then
ugh,
like if you have a goat mask that's like uber levels of creepiness, because then you're
hmm
like, oh, that's like some weird satanic stuff, and
yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
no, no,
don't touch that area. Yeah,
yeah,
don't go there.
same reason, dude. Okay, I just want to say this real quick. Never touch a Ouija board.
Yeah,
Anyone.
why? Why
Anyone.
risk it?
Like, you're an idiot. Like, okay, you remember what was it? Charlie game? The Charlie, where you put like
Oh yeah,
Oh,
from
yeah.
a pencil on top
Okay,
of
I
another
remember
pencil.
that.
that
Okay,
was I think
Charlie, are you
the,
there?
Let me
the
tell you
gallows.
something. Let me tell you something, okay? There's no spirit dude named Charlie
Yeah,
that's
that's
trying to talk
right.
to you, okay? That's some freaking demonic stuff, okay? Like,
Yeah.
you're trying to talk to like demons right now, okay? Don't
Yeah.
mess with that, okay?
You know, hey, here's the thing. I don't know if that stuff exists or not, but here's the thing. I don't. There's no added value in trying.
Yeah, I think
There's just no added
any
value.
sane person, regardless if you're a Christian or not, don't just mess with it
Eh.
like you're gonna
I kind of messed with
do
it.
something. Okay, don't.
George, you're messed up.
You are
man.
insane. Okay.
You're a
Why don't
crazy
our
person.
class
But
mess
God
with it?
love you,
What
man.
happened?
You got more stones than I do.
Well, the whole entire class messed with it, and the pencil moved and did a 360.
Okay, that could have been just the wind. Like
No, no, no,
that
no,
would have
no.
been.
Everybody was standing
Air
still. We were
conditioning.
all backed away from the pencil. We were each like against the wall of the room.
There's like
Pencil was
air
in the
vents
middle.
and stuff. Like there's
No,
air
no, no. We
vents
covered all the
and
vents.
stuff. Okay, so then yeah, demons are real. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's great. Let's call CNN.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
actually, George, you'll make a lot of money that way. That's
Um, but yeah, never touch any of that stuff. You're crazy to even think about that sort of stuff. That's
well,
why
and I
I'm
love
like,
it. I love
It's
it
hard
when
to
horror
stay
movies.
sane in an
that's why
insane
I'm like,
world.
okay, any of that weird ghost stuff, don't touch it. Don't go to seances.
What is he
Don't
saying?
ever have a
What is he
seance.
saying? Walk the line, where he's like, when he talks about God and like about rock and roll, and he's like, God said he didn't say don't touch it. He said don't touch it. He didn't say don't think about it. Don't think about thinking about it. Just don't do it. Just don't do any of that.
Yeah.
Don't do any of it.
Like,
Yeah.
like okay, here's what I gotta say. If you think that your house is some like has like demons in it, or you think it has like some like whatever supernatural
We actually have the
thing around
graveyard,
it,
like a graveyard right next to our house.
yeah, okay. If in that case, leave. I don't care. I don't care. Like okay, I'm gonna be for real
Nope.
with you guys.
Yeah.
If I feel like there's some weird things happening, I don't care if it costs me money. I'm
Who you
leaving.
gonna call?
All right, Teddy. Here's the
Ghostbusters.
question. Teddy, here's a question. Paranormal Activity.
Oh no, I'm going back to sleep.
What'd you think?
Never
'Cause that-
seen any of them.
Oh, boy.
Probably
All right.
won't go.
Like, here's the
see
thing.
them.
They are very divisive films, but the one thing that for me, it's not the best horror movie I've ever seen by far. I've seen much better ones, but I will say it goes for your home. Like it goes to where your home is, and literally all the scary
Yeah.
stuff happens in your room and in the room of these people. And like the one thing that they do is that scary stuff happens during the day. And I was like, that was one of the things that I was like, oh my God, the
Yeah,
daytime is
yeah.
sacred.
Yeah.
Daytime is sacred. We're safe
Dude,
from all this nonsense.
That's one reason why I think The Babadook's an amazing film. I think it's
It's a
probably
great
it's one of the
movie.
best horror movies.
Man, I
in
love
this
Australian horror movies,
for this
man.
century. This is not century. Because I think you'll probably remember this. The scene where they're driving because she's freaking out in like the
Oh, yeah.
daylight, and she
Yeah.
sees the Babadook like in the back of
Oh,
her car
dude.
and is freaking out. That sort of stuff where it's like you can't see. Here's what scares people the most. Okay, is when you have stuff in situations that they feel they could put themselves in.
Right.
They feel like I could be in that situation. You know, that's why
Yeah.
home invasion movies I think have become so popular, is because people get really scared.
Yeah.
by the
they get
the
scared by
idea
being
of,
alone.
Of just being alone. And here, dude, here's the thing: the Babadook was scary because it was like I'm just home. That was the biggest
Right.
thing. Most of the movie takes place in a house, and it's just like you get this real feeling of this is just my house.
Right.
But it's
You're not in a cave. You're not. in a
you're not, and it's
satanic
not like a
cult.
spooky house either. That's the thing.
No.
It looks
You've got
like
neighbors. You've got
yeah. People on like, and somebody even shows up to their house because they hear a weird noise, and they're
Right.
just like, "Oh, you can go. Everything's fine." And it's the kid's mom possessed by the Babadook. And dude, I gotta say this was the scene in the Babadook that scared me the most, and I'll never forget this scene. Is when she's washing dishes and she looks over at the window and she sees the Babadook in her neighbor's house.
Neighbors. Oh
And,
man.
dude, I'm serious. You just think there's there. I mean, there's really something terrifying about that. Just
Oh yeah.
the idea.
No,
of,
nowhere's safe. Not even my
Yeah.
neighbors.
Yeah,
You
you
can't
think-
even.
Yeah, because that's the thing. You think even that, you know what I mean? Like I think that's what's so scary about like body snatchers films and The Thing and stuff like that,
Mhm.
is that anyone can be it.
Right.
There's no protection. You know, that's what's
Right.
good. That's what horror movies, what make them so scary, is when they can strip away feelings of safety.
Yeah.
You know,
Absolutely, and it hits you at your core too.
like
to your
like
point, but-
I'll say this, okay. That's why lighting's so important in horror movies, especially because if you have bad lighting, you got to use lighting effectively in horror movies because that's
Mhm.
how you control fear, basically.
I'd
But
agree with
I'll
that.
say this though: when a horror movie can make you afraid in the daytime,
Oh,
that's when it's good because that means you have stripped. Because most people feel as though they're safe during the daytime.
and that's what
You
Paranormal
know?
Activity did for me. That to me, that is the sacred time. That's
Yeah,
okay.
because
That's we're safe, right?
okay,
Nope.
and that's one reason why I thought that the ending of Creep was so scary because he's just sitting out there on a park
Right.
bench.
Yes,
It's
exactly.
not like
In
he's
public, no
and
less.
you know when okay here's the thing I'll be honest okay I read a synopsis of Creep before watching the movie, um, and so because I didn't think I was really gonna watch it or whatever, but then when I read the synopsis I was thinking why would he go there in the middle of the night because the synopsis doesn't say it's in the broad daylight and I'm thinking
Yeah.
you idiot what person goes to a park at the middle of the night to meet a psychopath,
Right.
but then dude it's and you know what's worse is just how long he stands there before he kills him
Oh my
because
God, it
he
just
pulls out an
lingers.
axe and a wolf mask, puts him on, and just stands there. And you know what I love is that when he's making the video, like commentating basically on what happened, and he just says, "I know why you didn't turn around because you were willing to accept it," and it's like you're just thinking, why didn't he turn around? You know what I mean? That's what's
Right.
so because the other thing that makes it creepy, he waits for him to turn around. He's not standing there for that long time because he's just like, oh man, I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you real good. It's like he's like, aren't you gonna turn around? Aren't you gonna scream? Aren't you gonna run? You know, like
Yeah.
I think he wants it's and that's the thing. There's certain horror movie characters that always feel like they don't want to kill people. They just want to terrify people more.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
okay, Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers, especially. You know, Michael Myers, if you notice, he lurks around a lot. Like
Yeah.
like he just does a
Yeah.
lot of
He's a lurker
lurking.
for sure.
And especially, dude, remember the scene in Halloween where he sets up all the dead people to fall in front of Jamie Lee Curtis and basically just jump scare her?
Oh yeah.
Like that was clearly designed to scare her, not to kill her, you know? Like you could put
Right.
axes all there that swing out and kill you or whatever,
Right.
and that would have worked much better. But he does stuff that isn't over the top in the way that Jason does stuff, but more like stuff that looks visually striking. You know what I mean? Like the
Yeah.
kill where he puts the guy up on a wall and stabs
Mm.
him and then just
Right. And
leaves
just
him there.
and his head just
Yeah,
tilts. Oh, the head tilt. Ugh.
yeah.
It,
Or when he puts on the costume
gosh.
and then
Yeah.
goes
Yeah.
back to his girlfriend upstairs and just doesn't say anything.
Oh
And
man. Yeah.
yeah, that's another reason why horror movie masks are very important for your horror movie character. Like I want to see a new Jason or a new Michael Myers or a new
Oh,
Freddy
you
Krueger.
got you
I
got
want
you
to
got them
see
coming. They're
yeah, I
working.
want to
They're
see
cooking them up.
yeah, I'm hoping. Well, not like those movies, but I want to see
Oh.
somebody
Oh.
create a new character that's at that
Gotcha. Yeah.
level. You know, like I
Yeah.
want to see. For
What do
instance,
you
I
think
want
the
to see.
last time was that we had that? What Jigsaw? You think? So
Yeah, I guess because Jigsaw is pretty iconic now. I mean,
yeah.
everybody would probably go, "Yeah, that's Jigsaw from the Saw movies," even if you haven't seen the Saw movies, which I haven't because they're, you know, Saw movies.
Yeah. I
But
like the first one, but yeah, it goes downhill pretty
but like
quickly from there.
but like uh, you know, like I feel like Peach Fuzz could do that because Peach Fuzz
Yeah.
is that sort of same vein almost. Um, but see, people need to make another horror movie icon, you know,
Yeah.
like because it's recently in the 21st century, it's been so much stuff that's like like the Babadook is like this metaphorical thing, man, and it's not like an actual ghost. It's like you know what I mean.
Right.
It's all been sort of like vague stuff, and like the killer from Hush, I feel like could do that, but he's not. He doesn't have enough of a theme to him. You know,
Yeah.
you got to have a hardcore theme to you
You
in
know,
order
I
to
don't.
get
I
that
wonder if
status.
we'll ever get to that point because ever with anything, books, TV shows, film. You go through phases. We went through the rom coms of the '90s. Harry Met Sally, and then we went through the action. Big tough guy, Schwarzenegger,
Of the
Stallone. But
'80s.
there was
Yeah,
we've been through those, and those were great, and they're iconic. They're iconic. They're great. It's a great part of film history. But then we're kind of past those, and we're into different territory now. Now,
I'd say we're definitely in like the superhero era.
Right. And so
films.
I wonder if we'll ever get back to, to your point, except for something very something unique like Your Next, or
Yeah,
where we get kind of the horror movie masked scary bad guy. I wonder if we'll ever get to that point.
yeah,
Another
because
one actually that would,
I
yeah.
feel like the most stuff now, most horror movies are stuff like The Purge and The Conjuring.
Oh,
You
another
know what I
mask
mean?
one. Right. Yeah,
Like
I didn't think
stuff
about that.
like that, stuff that's sort of like
Cabin in
sort
the
of
Woods too. That one's a
vague.
great one.
Cabin in the Woods was very good and
Yeah.
very weird. Um,
Yes. Not a mask one necessarily,
yeah,
but
yeah,
great horror movie.
but it definitely tried to explain a lot of horror movie stuff it explained it
Right.
in a very interesting way.
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
yeah, I want another character that can be like that you can say, you know, like years later when you're talking to people and you're old and you're like, I remember when this character was first made. He was in his first movie, and man, we were all terrified. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
even like Alien somehow,
Oh man.
like okay, that is iconic, but it's not even a specific thing. You know what I mean? It's not even a one person. So
Right.
I don't know what it is that's causing certain people, characters right now to not be able to gain that iconic uh, viewership. You know, like you said, that Jigsaw kind of did it.
Yeah,
Um,
they try to do it a little bit with Insidious. With the what is it? The Darth Maul
yeah,
looking
I'm
character.
actually gonna like watch Insidious. I think like today or tomorrow. So
Oh,
I'm
nice.
I'm very excited about that. Uh, so yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing something like that. You know, something make something creepy that you can that'll stick with you. You know,
Yeah. Yeah, no,
um,
I totally agree, and I love the way that I want to
it's
continue
hard
seeing
though.
it through independent films such
Yes,
as Your
yes.
Next,
I
such
want
as
see
Hush, like
that's what I want to see. I want to see really great independent films where they have these unique ideas. Like for instance,
yeah.
have you seen the trailer for the movie Lights Out?
Oh my God,
That I'm
dude,
probably not I may not go see that movie because
I
it
saw
looks
the
so
don't see the
terrifying.
short film. Don't see the short film. That
I've
thing
already watched it.
it was it's about two and a
It
half
was
minutes long, and
it's terrifying.
oh, did you see it? Did you
I
see that?
watched it. I like
Oh my
covered my
God.
eyes partially for the whole thing and skipped through it because it
How
was so
perfect is that
scary.
ending, by the way?
Oh
How
yeah, where
perfect is that ending? I-
it's terrifying because like that's a perfect example of a. I'm hoping that gets a lot of recognition, because it's an indie movie kind of breaking like indie scene kind
Yeah.
of thing breaking through to mainstream success.
Yeah.
Um, but like I want something indie films to become very main like get some mainstream build up. You know, like I
Yeah.
want something like Creep, Hush, Your Next, stuff like that. That all they all kind of got like from critics it was like, oh my gosh, sing the praises of these movies, but everybody else was kind of just like, they're good, but not enough people saw them is the problem. You know,
Yeah. I
they
just
couldn't become iconic because of that.
my concern, and this is what the great part about. I wish more people were either open to, or someone introduced them to independent film. That's actually one thing I want to do with my YouTube channel is have a section that does like, oh, if you like The Fugitive, well then you need to go see X independent film because you'll
Yeah,
like it and you've
yeah,
never heard of it, kind of that.
yeah,
I'd really like to introduce it because there's so much great independent film that people don't know about. And I just feel like my concern with that is because I'm with you. I'd love for It Follows and The
definitely.
Babadook to
Yep.
become, a
I want
main,
the Babadook to be like at
universally
the level of,
accepted.
like The Exorcist is.
Yeah,
You know.
exactly. And my concern is that the way that the film industry, I feel like the film industry has slowly over the past like couple decades has, and hey, look, they're driven by money. It's a business. It is what it
Yeah.
is. But they are slowly dumbing down the expectations
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
of the mainstream audience such that jump scares are the norm, and that's what
Yeah.
people expect. So when you
Yeah.
get something like a very dense psychological thriller like The Babadook, a lot of
People
middle
can't wrap
school,
their
high school,
heads.
college, kids,
Yeah.
that's just not in their
Yeah.
wheelhouse.
They're used to it being spoon fed to them what to fear, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, good God, look at the ending to the Babadook. I mean, you want to talk about complex?
That dude requires
Jesus.
like you to have a 3 hour
Uh,
in-depth like analysis of what
I've
that
only seen it.
is.
You're exactly right, and I have only seen it one time because
Same.
I have not had the. Because I'm like, the next time I watch it, I want to sit down and and really think about
Definitely.
it. And I'm like, I don't have
You
five
know,
hours.
I
I want to
should,
take 5 hours to
since I
think
have the
about it.
Blu-ray of it, I wonder if that has commentary. I should really
Oh, that would
watch
be
it with the
great, man.
commentary over it. That would be some
That would
interesting to see.
that'd be nice to shed a little light on
Yeah.
that. But yeah, I just don't think that. Unfortunately, there's an unfortunate and fortunate side. Unfortunately, I don't think mainstream audiences, with the way it's gone and the way it's currently going, and where in the direction I think it's going to continue to go. I don't think. I think that the mainstream audiences, not because mainstream audiences aren't smart, it's just the way the film industry is slowly kind of numbing their the way that they're wired and the way
Yeah.
that they
Yeah.
expect horror films to come about, and with the jump scares and stuff. I just don't think that It Follows, the Babadook, Your Next, and stuff like that is going to hit those levels. But the fortunate side for people like us who have been introduced to independent film is that stuff will
Yeah.
continue.
Yeah.
That is going to continue, and
Definitely.
that's the other side of the coin.
All right. Well, it's been great having you here, Chad and
Hey,
George. If you're
hey,
still
What are you
wake up,
alive.
talking
wake up,
about?
George, wake
What are
up.
you talking
You
about?
were here
I'm
for the
not been
beginning.
here. You know how long that segment was? Was that just it? Is
Yep.
that it? We only talked about comic movies, and the rest of the time I wasn't even here. No, I'm introducing one more thing into this.
No, no. We've been doing this podcast for like 2 hours.
One
We
more thing.
can't go any further.
Okay.
Um, Chad, maybe you could join us next week because I'd
I
love to.
would love it, man.
Yeah,
This has been
yeah,
great. I love doing this stuff. So let me know. Let's do it again. That'd be
yeah.
great.
This has been
Let's
fantastic.
not
Don't forget for
talk
you guys
about
both
Well,
to
horror
we won't
share
talk
this
about horror
video.
movies next time, George. I promise.
Yeah,
Thank you.
We'll try and stay away from
yeah, yeah. I probably won't be able to, but
it.
thank you all for watching. I have been Teddy Jenkins. Chad, check out his channel, link in the description below, and George, link also in the description. Goodbye.